Hello, I'm Don Walker, and I'm the Communications Director for Brevard County Government. And we are here today for our every other week update on the coronavirus and also hurricane season and other issues that are pertinent to Brevard County. I'm joined here today with Maria Stahl, who is the Administrator of the Florida Department of Health Brevard, John Scott, who is our Interim Emergency Management Director, and Matt Wallace, who's our Public Safety Director, and Jesse Ray, who is our Social Media Specialist. So to begin today's event, I will turn it over to Maria Stahl for an update on the pandemic. Maria?
Hi, good morning, everyone. To report out today, our cases, total cases are 9,657. We did add 87 new cases today. If anybody is watching our reports in our dashboard, you'll see on any given day it fluctuates with the number of cases. The labs that reported out today were 5.54% positivity. Overall, I can say Brevard County is doing tremendous with the number of labs that have been done. We have done 110,722 labs. At a 9% positivity rate overall, and that ranks us number 9 in the state with the number of tests that have been done. The deaths, unfortunately, we did add 4 more individuals to our death toll, and our death toll is up to 315 cases. Out of those 315 cases, 192 of them have been associated with long-term care. Our hospitals continue to be stable. There continues to be capacity. There is no issue there. The positivity rate over the last 2 weeks has gone up some days and down other days. We've gone from 3.22% to 12.62% on any given day, in that range. The number of cases that we've had over the last 2 weeks is 990. The median age of those cases on any given day has ranged from 35 to 66. Our death age is the same age range as before. At our last briefing, 25 to 103. Out of those deaths, the statistics are somewhat the same as they have been. 38% of our deaths are over the age of 85. 32% are between the ages of 75 and 84. 16% are between 65 and 74. 10% are between 55 and 64. So 77% of our cases are over the age of 75. So moving away from COVID, as I mentioned at the last briefing, I want to reiterate the importance of everyone obtaining a flu shot. And flu shots, we are entering flu season. We have had a couple cases of flu already in our county. So please, anyone 6 months or over, strongly encourage you to obtain the flu shot. And then lastly, even though we are in phase 3, I want to reiterate that COVID has not disappeared. We do have COVID in our community, as you can see with the positive cases coming out. It's still very important to practice the mitigation measures, and that's masks when you cannot social distance, continue social distancing of 6 feet, and stay home if you're sick, and practicing good hand hygiene. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Maria. I would want to mention that because of the Facebook Live event, we will be entertaining questions once we have provided our updates today. So if you have questions on any of the topics we're discussing today, we'll be happy to answer those questions at the end of our program. Obviously, the pandemic has been a lot in the news anyway, but even more so in the past week or so due to the President of the United States contracting with COVID-19. And so there's been a lot of talk about that. So Maria, thank you for that update. Also very much prominent in the news is that we've had another hurricane system in the Gulf of Mexico right now, expected to make landfall here within probably the next 24 to 48 hours. And we have John Scott, our interim Brevard County Emergency Management Director, here today to provide us an update on hurricane season. John?
Don, thank you, and good morning. I'm John Scott, the Interim Director for Emergency Management. Hope hopefully allay any fears, that storm is not coming here. Hurricane Delta is unfortunately headed to our friends in Louisiana, but fortunately not us. And that's been a good theme for us so far this season. While we have had an extremely busy season, Brevard County has been largely spared impacts from hurricanes. We saw Isaias earlier, which was a scare, and then most recently, as Hurricane Teddy went by, we saw some pretty significant waves that had some impacts, especially to our southern beaches right along the coast from an erosion standpoint. But a couple things I want to remind folks is, one, I talked about it a lot last time. October is our second busiest month for hurricanes in Brevard County, so we are far from out of the woods. And then two, as a reminder, we've hit that point where we're now transitioned pretty firmly from what is colloquially called the Atlantic hurricane season, and really getting into the part of the season where storms form in the Gulf and in the Caribbean, specifically the southern Gulf and Caribbean. While that's a good thing for us, and that, again, that means we're getting towards the back end of hurricane season, the negative piece there, the piece that we all need to keep in mind, is that means we're going to have less time to prepare. And during the peak of the Atlantic season, we have storms coming off of Africa. We get 7-10 days now, thanks to modern science and satellites, to really sort of prepare. As you can see with Delta, as you saw earlier with Gamma, and Delta was a rapidly intensifying storm for the Yucatan, things can change really, really quickly. And as a reminder, it's something our friends in the Panhandle know all too well. We're getting close to the Hurricane Michael anniversary, and that was a storm that formed in the southern Caribbean and the Gulf and very quickly came up. So that's why it's critical that we all maintain our personal plans, our family plans. We have our disaster supply kits. We know where we're going to go, and we know where we can go to get good information. This has been so far the second busiest season on record. It's the only second time in history we've ever got into the Greek letters, and we're working really hard to catch 2005 for the busiest season. So not out of the woods yet. Please continue to keep your eyes on the tropics. Please continue to do everything you can to make sure you and your family are prepared. Don?
Thank you, John. Several months ago, when this pandemic first started, the U.S. Treasury Department provided states with CARES Act funds that they have dispersed to counties all over the country, including Brevard County, to help their communities recover from this pandemic. Brevard County received $105 million, which our Board of County Commissioners has allocated various funds for programs to help small businesses, individuals, and some of that money has been earmarked for personal protection equipment. And we have made that equipment available to small businesses, retailers, and restaurants. And we recently had a distribution where we handed out over 2,000 kits, and those kits included procedure masks, cloth masks, gloves, hand sanitizer equipment, things like that. And we have ordered new equipment, and that is now available. And we are taking applications on our Brevard County website for that PPE. Even if you received it previously, you are still eligible to apply for it again and receive a distribution. And we will begin those distributions on Monday. That PPE is available through an application that's on our website at www.brevardfl.gov/Brevard Cares. We also have other programs, and we have Matt Wallace, our Public Safety Director, here with us today to provide an update on those programs. Matt?
Thank you, Don, and probably the best transition in the history of Facebook Live. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm Matt Wallace. I'm your Director of Public Safety for the county. Thank you, Brevard County, for tuning in with us this afternoon as we give you these biweekly updates. As we said from the start, these are information sharing opportunities that we give our citizens, and it's vitally in all of our best interests that we continue to share information so we can all make the best decisions that we can for our family and our loved ones as we combat the pandemic and also as we combat the storm season. As Don has said, we have a multitude of programs that are specifically designed for our citizens in Brevard County to help you get through this pandemic. If you're struggling from a financial standpoint, if you're struggling from a food or hunger standpoint, we have programs in place in the county that we can help you, that are sourced by those federal dollars that we got from the United States Treasury. The unfortunate part of this is today is October 8th. And these dollars have a sunset clause on them that they must be obligated and spent before December 31st. So that time is coming up quickly, and it'll be here before we know it. And when that clock strikes, those federal dollars will now no longer be available based on the current guidance that we have. Of course, that guidance can always change if, from a federal standpoint, if they change the stipulations of those dollars. But the current guidance shows that we must have those dollars obligated and spent before December 31st. So we're coming up on that. So these programs are out there for you to help you. And we have a multitude of those, and we showed the website earlier. It was brevardfl.gov/Brevard Cares. And I'll just run through some of these programs and where we are currently and how much dollars in assistance we've been giving out up until this point. The first program is our individual assistance program to help out families who need mortgage relief or rent relief. We've had about over 1,200 applications received, and we're giving out on average of just over $3,000 per application that we approve. We also have another program called the Small Business Nonprofit Economic Relief Grant Program, which provides up to $10,000 for those small businesses and nonprofits who qualify. We've had over 2,700 applications received for that program, and we have about $7.7 million going out to help those small businesses across Brevard County that have been affected by COVID. Down to a little bit more tactical level from the families, those that have needs for food and they need to get food to sustain. We have a food stability program, and up to this point, we've given out from the weekend feeding program a little under 40,000 meals, have been provided. Again, trying to meet the needs of our citizens. From our farmers market program that normally happens usually on the weekends, we have just under 10,000 households have been served by that program to date. And from our independent living systems program that backfills our food pantries, we've provided almost 177,000 meals to backfill those pantries. So these programs are active. They're here for you. We need you, if you need help, to reach out to us to apply and to get that assistance. And again, I can't overemphasize, today is October 8th. December 31st is when the deadline happens, that the current obligation of those dollars go away. So if you need help, please reach out to us at that website. One more time, it's brevardfl.gov/Brevard Cares, and let us help you. As Maria said, COVID is in our community, and it is here, and it'll always be here until other things are happen, but it is here. So if you're being affected by that COVID and you need help, please go to that website that is on your screen right now and let us help you. All right, Don, thank you. Back over to you.
Thank you, Matt. So as mentioned previously, we've been providing these updates every 2 weeks on Facebook Live just to keep our residents apprised to things that are happening in relation to the COVID-19 and also hurricane season. And during our last Facebook Live, I mentioned an update on the U.S. Census, which at that point in time was to conclude September 31st. And there's been an extension on that. And to discuss that, we have Jessie Ray, Brevard County Government Social Media Specialist. Jessie.
Thanks, Don. So yes, the census was supposed to conclude at the end of September. However, we have gotten an extension. So you can complete the census all the way up through the end of October. So you still have a couple of weeks. You can log on right now. I'm looking at their website, 2020census.gov, and you can respond right there. Last week we had a question. People weren't sure if, how do I know if I've responded or not? I can't remember. Just go on. Log on, fill out your census, and they will recognize if you've already filled it out or not, and they will remove, you won't have duplicate responses. There are still people who are going around doing the census, so if you have someone knock on your door, they are taking precautions for COVID-19. Please make sure that you respond to this. The census what it does is it gives us accurate numbers so that we make sure that we get the funding that we need from the federal dollars for schools, for our roads, for, countless programs that we have that we need to make sure all of our citizens have access to. So please make sure that you go on and do your census today. Brevard County is sitting at about a 71.2% self-response rate as of yesterday. So I think we can get that number up at least a little bit more. So we have a couple weeks. This is our time to do it, and I highly suggest it. So thanks, Dawn.
All right, and so briefly before we get to questions, I do want to take advantage of this opportunity to discuss a subject that is completely unrelated to anything we're talking about here. But since I have an audience, I wanted to mention the county's new contract with waste management began on October 1st, and they've had some problems because of the COVID-19. They've had a shortage of drivers, and the county's received a lot of complaints about missed pickups for solid waste and also other yard debris and recycling. They have announced this Tuesday during our commission meeting that they have had an influx of drivers. They've implemented some new routes, and they are back basically to normal day-to-day operations. But as part of those new routes and the influx of new drivers, they have asked people that if on your normal garbage collection day, if you will put your garbage out by 6 a.m. in the morning and leave it there until 8 p.m. that night if it hasn't been picked up, because those routes are starting earlier and they're also going longer to make sure that they complete those routes on time. So I just wanted to mention, be sure on your garbage collection day that your garbage is out at the curb at 6 a.m. and leave it out there till 8 p.m. If it hasn't been collected, hopefully it'll be collected by then. And if not, they'll be there first thing again the next day. However, if it's not collected, we have a complaint line you can call. It's on our website at brevardfl.gov, and that's the story on your garbage collection. So, thank you for giving me that moment. We will now turn it back over to Jesse Ray for any questions that we may have received as part of our event.
Awesome. Thanks, Don. I'm going to take just a second here to plug our YouTube channel. For those who are watching, we often get people who say, well, I don't have friends or family who are on Facebook. How can they get these live updates? So we heard you. We responded to that. And we do our live updates on our YouTube channel. You do not have to have a YouTube account to watch these, and you can follow us at SCGTV499. That stands for Space Coast Government Television 499. So there's that bit of information for you. So the questions that we have today, Maria, we got a question. Brevard's daily positivity rate on COVID-19 tests in recent days has often been between 7 and 13%, which makes it among the highest in the state for larger counties. What do you think attributes to that?
I think there's several things contributing to that, and whoever asked the question is absolutely right. We have been higher than the state average on several days. One of the things is there truly is disease out in our community. So I'm not going to sit here and say we don't have COVID or if it's decreasing in our community. We have COVID in our community, and we need to take precautions, and we need to not relax our precautions. That's one thing that's going on. The second thing that's going on is there truly is a lag in some of the negative cases being entered at the state level, mostly with the rapid tests. We have some walk-in clinics now that are doing rapid testing in the tunes of 300 to 400 a day amongst all their facilities. And the negative tests go up to the state to actually put into the system. And due to the delay in that is affecting the positivity rate a little bit. But I do want to reiterate that we do have COVID in our community, and that is one of the reasons, the positivity rate is showing that. So, but they're absolutely right. It is higher than the state on several days over the last 2 weeks.
And so while we're kind of talking about that difference in numbers that people might be seeing, we had somebody who seemed a little bit confused about why the numbers on the dashboard, the numbers for Brevard County versus the numbers for the state might seem a little bit different. Can you maybe talk about the dashboard a little bit and why people see those fluctuating numbers?
I don't know exactly what numbers you're talking about from the county. All the numbers that get reported out are getting reported out from the state, at the state level. So they're the ones that do all of our reports. They're the ones that also do the dashboard. If there is a difference in the two, it's 100% related to either timing or provisional status. If you notice on all the reports that get sent out, it says provisional data. And the reason for that is sometimes it takes a little bit of time before our investigator, I should say a little bit of time, but a day or two to contact the person and do the investigation. And then we see that it's been reported once before or another time with just a different spelling of their last name or a little bit of different spelling. So, but as to the discrepancy between the two reports, I think it's truly a timing thing. I am not aware of any county reports that are being done, and John might be able to answer that, but they're all state reports being done at the state level.
Okay. So this one might go to John, but Maria, I'm sure you're happy to chime in if you'd like. So with the state going to phase 3, do you see that there being a decrease in local mask use and social distancing? And do you think that that is a reason for the number of Brevard new case totals topping 100 per day in some recent days? And does that concern you?
So Jesse, I'll take it. There's a lot of factors that can go into increase over a couple of days or whatever. I think the important thing to do is rather than look at it from what are we doing about the increase and why there's the increase, that we should talk about how we make sure we get back to and maintain a downward slope, which is very much about continuing to, do the things Maria talked about, which is wear our face coverings or our masks, continue to practice social distancing, continue to maintain good hand hygiene and avoid large crowds. And a big piece of that is for folks who are concerned, if maybe you see family members or friends or coworkers beginning to maybe relax a little, is remind them that a mask isn't for you, it's for them. A mask is for your neighbors. All of these kinds of mitigation measures aren't just about you and your family's health, they're about the whole community's health. And if we're all committed to one another, that's really how we're going to continue to make sure we stay on that downward trend. And it takes us individually and as neighbors to remind each other to do those things. So that's really where I'd like to see us focus, is be proactive and maintain those kinds of mitigation measures, which we know work.
Awesome. Thanks, John. So, Dawn, I know that we get a lot of questions about the mask mandate in Brevard County, and we constantly say there was never a mask mandate in Brevard County. And I've had a couple of people who just say that there is some confusion about whether, masks are required or they're not. Or could you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, so the county has twice looked at putting a mask mandate in place. That was never approved by the commission, so there is no mask mandate in Brevard County. All we've ever done simply from a county standpoint is ask people to follow the CDC recommendations, which is to wear a mask, to social distance, and to avoid large gatherings. There are some municipalities in the county that have put mask mandates in place. Some of those have already been lifted. I can only encourage you, if you're not sure which municipality has a mandate in place or not, to consult their website or contact their city hall. Also, the main thing is that we want people to follow the CDC recommendations, and, with that in place, then, the businesses often have postings at their door, whether masks are required or not. Even if they're not, we still encourage you to wear one just for your own protection. But, if you go to a business and they don't require a mask and you don't feel safe there, then I would not encourage you not to go to that business. I'm sure there are others that do require masks that you would feel just much more safe in. But again, it's a personal decision at that point. They call it risk tolerance, how much risk do you want to take for your own personal safety. But again, no mask mandates in place, but it's a personal decision on how you want to handle that from a personal standpoint.
And last but not least, it is October. We are into spooky season, and Halloween is just around the corner. So I'm sure like many parents around the county are wondering, and around the country are wondering, what can we do for our kids this year for Halloween so they don't have to completely miss out, but that everybody stays safe? Do you have any suggestions on what's happening around the county?
Sure. So, and Maria, I may need a little bit of input from you on this, but this is kind of also in the mask mandate kind of category. You might need to check with your own municipality to see what type of Halloween measures they have in place. We do know there are cities like Cocoa. Halloween is on a Saturday this year, and it just happens to tie in at the same time that Cocoa has its annual fall festival. And they have asked their merchants to distribute candy, but to do so outdoors, not in the business, but outside the business. They've put together some type of a Halloween trick-or-treat trail that children are going to be encouraged to take. And that event is from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on October 31st in downtown Cocoa. But other municipalities have their own events that may or may not be taking place. So again, I would encourage you to check their websites to see what type of events they have. And I think, Maria, which is why I said you might need to get involved, does CDC have a recommendation on
Yes.
Halloween?
Yes, and I'll start out by saying, yes, CDC has put out a document which outlines low, moderate, and high-risk activities. So here again, as we have mentioned, I think it's up to each individual parent to decide what risk they're willing to take for their child. The traditional trick-or-treat activities are definitely in the high-risk category. Jesse, we can probably put that CDC link right on the
I
county
sure can.
website, right?
I sure
Yes.
can.
And everybody could actually see what the low, the moderate, and the high-risk activities are. There's definitely the lower risk activities. They're talking about virtual, Halloween contests, costume contests. They talk about a scavenger hunt within your own house, in your own family. When you talk about moderate risk activities, they're talking about maybe having goodie bags lined up on a row or having a scavenger hunt in the neighborhood outside where you're doing social distancing. When you're talking the high risk activities, it's the traditional trick-or-treating that we know of as trick-or-treating. It could be hay rides. It could be Halloween parties where there's no social distancing occurring. So again, it's back to what risk are you willing to take for yourself and your child with the Halloween activities. But Jesse will go ahead and post so everybody can see the full list that the CDC has put out.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll post a link to the CDC guidelines, and I'll pin that to the top of our Facebook pages and our Twitter pages for Brevard County Government and our Brevard EOC pages.
And Jesse, just so you know, if you go to Brevard, if you go to ianbrevard.com right now, on our community report, we have both the CDC Halloween guidance already posted and a link to every city. So if you want to find out what's going on with their mask mandate, you can do that as well.
That's
And Jesse,
excellent.
just let me add one more thing that
Yeah.
I should have added. The one thing I want everybody to realize is a Halloween mask does not suffice for the masks like we have on right now. And it's also considered dangerous to wear this kind of a mask with a Halloween mask. So the preferable thing to do would be to try to get a decorative type of mask that your child can wear with the costume.
Awesome. Yeah, and the community report that John mentioned is really a great resource for a lot of things that we're talking about here that you can get, on a more regular basis. And I think that's really all that I have. So I'll make sure that I post those so that all of our viewers have that information. I do know that our Parks Department is doing a Movies in the Park where it's a drive-in movie. They're doing that on the 30th, so that's kind of a Halloween type event that they're doing. They're showing Hocus Pocus. So like Don said, there's a lot of events out there, and that's a great resource from John. So back to you, Don.
Okay. So a lot of the information that we've discussed today is available on our websites and also on Facebook at Brevard County Government and also Brevard County Emergency Management, and on Twitter at Brevard EOC and at Brevard CO_FL. And if you have any questions about the COVID-19 pandemic or any of the assistance programs that we've discussed today, and you don't have access to a computer, you can always call 211 Brevard on your phone. And for that, we will end today's event. Thank you for tuning in.